Hello, today we're going to be going over the most important things you need to know about your WordPress website. My name is Donato D'Andrio. I'm president at Compete Now Web Design, and been using WordPress for a very long time. Just to talk a little bit about the background and why you should listen to me. We started using WordPress websites in 2010. Come from a non-technical background. Before I started Compete Now Web Design, I was actually mainly just working for my father in construction. Started taking business classes at Suffolk, and going to my junior year, started a web design business as a way to work with small business owners on their websites and their marketing. Um, Quickly realized that I didn't have very high technical skills, so turned to WordPress back then to be able to create websites for clients that were easy to use for myself and for them. So since then, I've built hundreds of websites, maintained hundreds more, gained a lot of experience, had to deal with all the ins and outs of WordPress and learning what plugins work best and what themes work best and what to know. And started a YouTube channel in 2012 around that area, focused on WordPress tutorials, just showing people the ins and outs, demonstrating how to do things. That those have gotten over 1 million views over the years. So definitely take a lot of pride in our business and training WordPress website owners on how to fully utilize their tool that they've been given. This is myself and my brother on the right. He got into the web design business with me in, I think, around 2013, 2014. He also had a non-development technical background, although he is a lot more technical than I am. So he's since surpassed me and is a full-blown WordPress expert, capable of building custom WordPress sites. So we work together, along with a couple other guys at my office, to do that. But he does have that unique background where he was able to build WordPress websites very quickly and efficiently using all of WordPress's features. But yeah, so moving on to the presentation, we're going to be going over the importance of security and backups. I'm going to be talking about some recommended plugins if you have a WordPress site. There's so many tools out there. Which ones are the best? Which ones are the ones that are worth buying and learning? Also going to talk a little bit about Google Analytics, not necessarily the ins and outs of Google Analytics, but how you can actually install it on your website and actually be able to see the stats right from your WordPress dashboard. And then from there, once everybody that has websites, whether it's leads or donations or memberships, you need to be able to track what's working in terms of what's getting people to your website and producing results. So we're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. So security, one of the biggest things, most important things when it comes to security on your WordPress website is choosing the right web host. About 44% of the websites online that are hacked every day or over the course of the year are actually hacked through a weak web host. So when you go online and you're looking for a host for your WordPress website, try not to just choose the cheapest one available. Try to choose one that's reputable, that has great reviews, and really make security a key part of their service offering. We personally recommend WP Engine. It's a little more expensive. It's about $29 a month, but you do get a truly committed host to security that's also committed to performance, so your website loads fast. Otherwise, GoDaddy, certain plans that they have are also good, and some of the other, SiteGround is another one you can look into. The next step is keeping your theme, WordPress, and plugins up to date. When websites get hacked, WordPress websites get hacked, that's just another key reason, is because of an outdated theme or an outdated plugin. These are all vulnerabilities that come up over time, as once your website's completed, if you're not keeping up with these patches and updates, it's basically creating holes in your website that hackers can get into. Also, the other easy thing is using strong usernames and passwords. So a lot of people think more so about the passwords, but it really is important to also have a secure username that is not easy for hackers to guess, because if somebody knows that your username for your website is admin, which is a very common username for WordPress sites, they're almost basically halfway in the door to getting into your website, because once they know the username, then it's just a process of trying to guess the password, which they can do manually, or they have certain kinds of softwares and tools they can use to guess your password thousands of times until they finally figure it out. The next step that's really important for the security of your website is installing a security plugin. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that since it is very important for your site. And it's called Wordfence. Wordfence helps limit login attempts. So as I just mentioned with guessing passwords, big defense against that is limiting the amount of login attempts. So if somebody guesses the wrong password 10 times, make it so they get locked out of the website for a period of time. And that's a very effective way to keep people from, and hackers from getting into your website. Also, it creates a web app firewall to defend against hackers. You have malware scanning, so a lot of the times if your website has been breached and has some bad files installed on it, you'll never even know until finally one day Google blacklists you or your web host shuts your website down. So if you have that scanner, you can run that scanner and just always make sure that there aren't any issues going on with your website. A premium feature of Wordfence, because Wordfence is free for the most part and will do what you need with the free version, but there's also the premium feature of country blocking. So if you're a local business and you're 100% sure you do not care or need traffic from India or Europe or many other countries, then those are usually the countries that you're getting a lot of your spam from and you're getting a lot of the attacks from, Ukraine, China, all these different countries. So you can just make it, hey, I only want people in the US to be able to look at my website and block the rest. That's also a very effective way to enhance the security of your website. I wanted to go over recommended plugins. The first one that we're going to talk about is Gravity Forms. So I see one of the things I always look for when I log into a new WordPress site that we're going to be helping to manage is what are they using for a form builder? Because there are a lot of form builders out there, and some of them aren't as good as Gravity Forms. So I usually like to install this one. This form tool stores submissions, so if you ever need to, over the course of time, go and look at, forms as they're getting submitted. Are they, basically making it so you can export all those entries over the course of time and import them into a separate list if you end up getting a CRM or something. It's just nice having those in the back. And then if you ever realize after a month that something was wrong with your email and you weren't getting submissions from your website, you can actually go back and follow up with people. So it's just a nice little extra feature, that extra line to make sure that you're getting them all. Very well supported. This is going to be on almost all my plugin recommendations. It's very important that you have a plugin that is actively getting updated and supported and maintaining compatibility with the themes in WordPress. There's dozens of integrations that come with Gravity Forms. If you have MailChimp, Constant Contact, if you need to do payments for credit card, there's all different extensions and integrations that you can add in that are made by Gravity Forms to make that possible. It's very easy to use. It's drag and drop. If you want to set up elaborate forms, and even a novice can do that. You don't need a high paid developer to do it, and it's highly customizable. So once you get past the basic forms, contact forms, and simple applications, if you need a really elaborate form, you can do that. You probably would have to hire somebody to help you with it, but it would be on a pretty short amount of time. We've made forms that can generate automatic quotes based on a series of criteria and data. So you can have very simple forms all the way up through complicated forms with Gravity Forms, which is why it's one of the recommended plugins. All right. Also, you're going to want to need a great page builder for your WordPress website. It should be well supported as well. So we recommend WPBakery, which is the most popular page builder for WordPress. It's actually pre-installed on a ton of WordPress themes, so you might even have it on your website already. You can create elaborate pages and backgrounds with these. This has been definitely a game changer for me with WordPress. Over the years, you used to have to use a different plugin for every little thing. You need a plugin to be able to create columns in your pages, to be able to make little backgrounds and buttons. And WPBakery makes it really easy to do all of that. You can create complicated elements very easily. If you want to have a carousel of your blog posts from a certain category or them all, it makes it real easy to do that with WPBakery. So I highly recommend it. And like I said before, when I was doing my WordPress tutorials, I had to do the tutorials because there were just so many plugins to do every little tiny task for WordPress. And this one really cuts out the need for so many of those plugins, because you can make very nice looking buttons and you can do backgrounds, and it's just a good one to check out. So I would highly recommend looking into that. Another plugin that we seemingly have been using on every site we do pretty much is a list building call to action plugin called ConvertPlug. There actually turns out there is two different. If you go to it, you want to get the Convert Plus one. That's the one that we use, and you can easily create pop-ups, slide-ins, call to action blocks above or below your content, and those different pop-ups and slide-ins can either be used to generate signups for email lists. They can be used to make push a promotional offer in front of your audience. Any kind of message really. It's a very effective way to get more attention. When I first started doing websites, it was like, yeah, sure, you want people to sign up for your email list, just stick the sign up in the sidebar or the footer, and nobody will ever sign up. That was kind of the process. So this is an effective way to actually get people to sign up for your email list by pushing it in front of them and giving them the opportunity to do it. When it comes to pop-ups, one thing that our clients love and that we really love is the ability to do exit intent pop-ups. This plugin makes it easy to do that. You can do it yourself. And it basically just makes it so once your website detects that somebody's about to leave your website, when they're scrolling up and about to hit the X button at the top, it'll show that pop up. So it doesn't interrupt their session, and it can be a last-ditch effort to get them to take some kind of offer or sign up for your email list on their way out. Another plugin we recommend is WooCommerce. Just another beautiful thing about WordPress. You can have a fully e-commerce website. And no technical background to add it to your site. So it's very well supported. It's the most popular e-commerce plugin for WordPress. Like I said, very easy to use and set up. There's a wizard that you go through to get everything set up, and you can be selling products in no time. It's very scalable, so once you set up a basic store and you kind of do it yourself, and maybe you get a few products and you start getting some traction, it is very scalable. So if you didn't want to bring an expert or just spend a bunch more time on your own learning about it, you could make it into a full-blown, fairly sizable e-commerce store with dozens of extensions that integrate into all kinds of things for shipping. If you want to have it automatically tied into UPS, USPS, FedEx, if you want it to tie into all different kinds of payment gateways, pretty much any payment gateway they have an extension for the most part. There's just so many things you can do with it. And it's very inexpensive if you only need the very basic version of the plugin. Otherwise, as you build the site up, everything does cost a little bit of money here, and every extension is $100 a year. But at the end of the day, you might need maximum 3 or 4 extensions for the most part. So $300 or $400 a year to have a very extensive e-commerce site is not too bad. The other plugin that we've been recommending and using a lot lately is MemberPress. It's also very well supported. It's extremely easy to use and set up, very customizable, and there's monetization and content dripping capabilities. So you could use this plugin for a number of things. If you're an organization that has members, I've helped a number of organizations get off of paper and start using their website to actually manage their membership database. And it can be used for that. It could also be used for if you had some kind of like online program that you want people to sign up for and just get access to content depending on their level and their access. It can also be used for that. So it's very flexible in terms of what you can make it. But the core features built into MemberPress can apply to so many different uses. So it's a great plugin. So we definitely recommend it. Another one that we install on every website that we do is Yoast SEO. It's very well supported, easy to use and set up. It has an on-page SEO tips wizard, so it kind of just helps you get your website optimized for search engines. This is just a screenshot of the guide that it comes with. So you can see the snippet editor. So what it does is it helps you change that the title that's up here, the Yoast Guide Tutorial for Using WordPress SEO Plugin. Helps you edit the meta description that's below it. And based on that, you put in the focus keyword, the keyword that you're optimizing for that specific page, into the focus keyword. And the guide down here tells you if you've done everything right. So in this case, everything was done right. Everything's green. Yoast SEO, the Yoast guide, which was the focus keyword, is in the title, the description, and also goes through the text on the page, and then will give you the green once you've fully optimized your page. So it's something that a lot of web designers skimp out on, and something that the website owners don't know about or know anything enough to do. And it's actually pretty easy. It's just a matter of taking the time to do it. The other plugin that we recommend is the Google Analytics dashboard for WordPress. For WP is what it's called, though, if you search the depository for it. It helps you install Google Analytics onto the site, and also helps you view your stats right from the dashboard of WordPress, which is a great feature because half the reason why people never look at their Google Analytics stats are because they have to go log into Google Analytics to see it. So if you put it into an area where you're actually going to be logging in anyway and doing work, it'll actually help you more so better pay attention to your web stats and get a better feel for, are they going up, down, and what can you do about that. The other thing that so many owners just don't take any time to do is really track where their leads are coming from through their website. So I did want to spend some time talking about that. You can track form submission sources through Google Analytics for free. So if you get 20 contact form submissions through your website in a month, you might not know how those people got to your website and then filled out that form, and that's where Google Analytics can track. So you can, at the end of the month, you could see, if 10 of them came from Google, if 5 of them came from Facebook or a different social source, if a couple came from your email blast, or how many of them just came directly, typed in URL and went to your website. It can kind of give you an idea for, am I getting any leads just from Google, and how to tell. The one that I really prefer to use, that when possible, is CallRail. It's callrail.com. It's about $30 a month to get started, and that allows you to track calls and form submissions by the source. So if somebody comes to your website and they went directly to your site, it'll tell you that. It also has the ability to record calls. So for whatever reason, if you need to record the calls to say, okay, I saw that I got 4 calls from Facebook this month, but judging by the caller ID, which caller ID isn't usually that useful, you can't really tell if they're actually good business calls or not. So if you have the recording on, you can listen to the call and get a better understanding of what the result of that call was. And then the same thing with form submissions, and I'll show you a screenshot of that after this slide. And then there's also Lucky Orange, which is a great website to use for, it actually records live sessions of people that are on your website and shows what they're hovering over, what they're clicking on, and what they're doing. And it's a very effective tool to get a better understanding of how people are using your website and making changes accordingly. And there's also just heat mapping is very important. So watching one session at a time is helpful, but over the course of the month, if you want to look at what did people do on my homepage out of hundreds of visits, it'll show you a whole heat map and diagram kind of demonstrating what people are focusing their attention on. And if you realize that some of the important content on your page or images are not getting a lot of attention because they're too low down the page and not enough people are going down that direction, you might rearrange the order of your content. This is just a screenshot from CallRail. You can see the top here are calls. So you can see that this call was organic, Google paid, like AdWords, directory, meaning it was Google Business Directory or one of the other directories, Yelp ads, ad roll, banner ads, and then these are the forms. So you can see Google organic, direct, paid, and if you click into them, it would show you who the exact people are. So that's useful tracking through CallRail that I had mentioned. So that sums up our list of recommended plugins and tools and things you need to know about WordPress. The only thing I did not have in this presentation that I'll probably add in is just a plugin that we recommend for WordPress backups. It is very important to have a backup plugin on your site that's scheduled to run on a scheduled basis, usually weekly. There are some things you want to pay attention to in terms of you don't want to have it running weekly or daily and then never deleting the older copies, because then eventually it's going to fill up your web server and you could potentially get shut down. So that's one thing that was not on the presentation, but I would highly recommend. I personally use Backup Buddy. There's also Updraft, which I believe is free, and a few others. Just try to find one that has a lot of downloads and high ratings, and just make sure you get a backup plugin on your site. And ever so often, back up your site and download the full backup and store it locally on your machine so that you have it in another place, or set it up to go to Dropbox. So that's the presentation. Hope you at least found one little thing in this presentation useful that you want to look into adding to your own WordPress website. This is my contact information here, my phone number and email, and my website. Certainly open to helping you with anything that we've discussed or haven't discussed.